California for All Preparedness Initiative. And really, the goal behind this is to do outreach to over 1 million people to promote preparedness. And so a lot of times we get asked the question, well, how do you do that? Because that's kind of, I mean, that's a monumental undertaking. And I'm going to tell you that it starts with each and every one of you. Meaning that you're going to go out to neighborhood associations, you're going to go out to community meetings, and you're going to go out and have these conversations talking about preparedness. Because who's the subject matter experts? You are, right? And that's what everyone knows you to be. Because you're wearing that green helmet and that green vest, and you're walking through your neighborhoods, and you're doing these things because you've made a commitment to your community. And that's the great thing about CERT. So what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today is how do we phrase that message? Because the message needs to resonate with your community. And you need to be able to take that message out and talk about this message pretty much off the cuff. And so the reason why I'm going to be up here today is I'm going to talk to you about what that message might look like. And I'm going to give you an example of it. And I want you to take notes because these talking points that I'm going to go through today have proven very successful in Long Beach as we've gone out to the community and engaged in preparedness. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what my story looks like when I go out to the community and show you and give you an example of that preparedness TED Talk, so to speak. Right? Because that's really what it is. It's a preparedness TED Talk where you're getting out there and you're getting those people either engaged to leave that room at that point in time to go do something to make them more prepared. And this is how that's going to go. And I'll give this is our normal preparedness talk in Long Beach. So typically when I go to a neighborhood association group, I may or may not have a few CERT volunteers in the audience, and I always ask to say, hey, is there any CERT volunteers out in the audience right now? And if so, raise your hand, please. Raise your hands, let's see you. Right? And let's acknowledge those CERT people because they're the ones that are going to make this happen in our communities. So we acknowledge them. And we give them a round of applause for your commitment to the community, and that's exactly what we want to do, especially when we're in our neighborhoods, because those are our CERT members. And we want to make sure that they feel empowered when we are talking to the audience and they're sitting in the audience as part of that message. Because when I leave, they're going to go talk to those people in the audience that were CERT members. And that's a powerful thing. The next thing we talk a little bit about is this idea of understanding that history repeats itself. And in 1933, in the city of Long Beach, we had the Long Beach earthquake. And so these things are an example of what will happen. And then we talk about this idea that we also know there's going to be areas that are prone to flooding because every single year they flood. So from a historical perspective, when we look at history repeating itself, these are important messages that will resonate with the members of people in the community that you're talking to because they experience it on an annual basis. And then we can even talk historically. And where does that hit us in California? With the wildland fires. So you bring these things up in these communications and these discussions because it strikes them where they're at. It meets them where they're at and it's real to them. And here's the interesting conversation. And when I get into the conversation about preparedness, this is what I tell them. I said, all right, so everyone in this room, let me ask you this one question. So if I get on an airplane right now, right? And you're getting there and you're sitting down there, there are two exits to the what? Rear. Yeah, rear of the plane, right? Two exits to over the wings and two exits to the front, right? Should we have a loss in cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will drop from the ceiling, and you were to place the oxygen mask on who first? Yeah. Yourself prior to placing it on somebody else, right? And should we experience this in-plane aircraft emergency over water, your seat cushion could be used as a flotation device. Now, I've never met many of you in this room, but every single one of you can tell me exactly what to do in an aircraft emergency, which is far less likely than an emergency or fire at your home. Because then I ask the question, well, tell me, where's your safe meeting place? The room's silent. When that smoke detector goes off, does your child know where to go outside to wait for you to get there? Does your child know how to make sure to feel that door for heat before they get out? Do they know how to crawl low in the smoke? Now, many of you in this room are saying, yes, my kid knows that, but I'm going to tell you, in the communities that you go talk to, it's silent in the room. But yet they just told you how to handle an aircraft emergency, but they can't tell you where their safe meeting place is at home. Do you understand the value of this message now? Preparedness starts small. It doesn't need to be a huge monumental effort. You don't need to go get that $500 kit, and drag it around with you everywhere you go. I mean, we talk about the simple things about preparedness that could be as small as just a buy-the-bed kit. Right? We talk about that. We say, that number one injury that people experience in an earthquake is what?
Glass.
Cut feet from broken glass. Right? Because the first step you take is on that broken glass, and now you're part of the problem, not the solution. And the small steps about taking that kit, putting that flashlight in that disposable bag, because in Long Beach we are a green city. You put it in that disposable bag, right? You take that flashlight, you put that old pair of shoes in there, and then when the earth starts shaking, you drop, cover, and hold on. And right there, tied to your bedpost, is that by-the-bed kit. You put those shoes on, you turn that flashlight on, and you go take care of yourself and your family. That's what preparedness is. And if you do that one thing right now, when you go home, after this little conversation we're having, you're now more prepared today than you were yesterday. That's what preparedness is. And so it's making preparedness real to people. And when you go out and have these conversations, that's why this becomes so important. It's about putting what you all have learned in CERT into practical application. And that's really what we need to accomplish in this monumental effort, California for All. Speaking to over 1 million people about preparedness. Think about that, 1 million by-the-bed kits. Right? So we don't have to deal with those injuries. We don't have to send first responder services to deal with that in a catastrophic event because our communities are more prepared and more resilient. That's what this is all about. And so when we get in these conversations, we need to phrase it to something that we connect with. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be this, this big message, but it needs to be relatable. And then we talk about these little things because these are the nuggets, right? We know you need how much? How much water do you need per person per day? A gallon of water per person per day. And then, right, if we need to purify that water, right, it's basically how many drops of unscented, not lavender, right, unscented household bleach, right? How many drops?
8.
8 drops per gallon of water. If the water's cloudy, it's
16.
Man, you got the message down. But is that message exactly what the people that you're talking to need to hear? Do they need to go to a CERT class to get that message?
No.
No, because you're the advocate. You're the one that's taking this message home and delivering it in small, bite-sized pieces that drive the message and the importance home because we know water, food, and preparedness are critical components to taking care of ourselves and our families. So, again, the message resonates. So then people go, man, how much water? Well, for a family of 4, right? That's 4 gallons of water per family of 4 per day. Do you have that? That's 2 quarts for consumption and 2 quarts for personal use. Hygiene. Right? These are those things, those talking points that all of you know. But it's a matter of putting it in to bite-sized, easily digestible pieces for members in your community. It's exciting when you get these conversations happening because when people see your passion, what ends up happening? It's a call to action. And they get out there and they're like, and constantly when I go out and have these meetings, I frequently get these people to come up and say, where do I join CERT? How do I get involved? And that's why in Long Beach we have a waiting list of over 400 people that are trying to get in our program. And I just can't keep up with the demand. But that's the beauty of this thing. And I'll tell you what, that's the beauty of Listos. Listos doesn't have to be in Spanish. What's the message behind Listos? Preparedness. It's meeting them where they're at. Meeting them where they're at. And in tribal communities where I'm also intimately involved, that's a big thing. Being aware of how to spread the message, being culturally sensitive to some of those dynamics. Right? And that's the beauty of Listos. So now we've got Listos, now we've got CERT, now we've got all these different things that are going to come down to basically you. Because I can't be everywhere. And as a program manager, and those of you that have been in my program manager classes and the best practices as a program manager, it's about your volunteers. That's my responsibility, is to get my team, which is sitting right here in front of me, right here. Because without them, I am not successful. And that's what each and every one of you bring to your programs, is the success for your program. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of work. And my goal is when you leave this meeting, this room today, this conference tomorrow, that you have a passion for preparedness. That you go out and you light that passion in your communities, because your communities need it. They depend on it. And you're the advocate to make that happen. Because without you, it doesn't happen. And man, we are in the spotlight right now, California. We are in the spotlight. We've got funding like we've never received for CERT. And we've got to rise to the challenge and step up and make it happen. Right? What do you say? He's like, rally caps. Yeah, I can honestly say, a lot of times we have these conversations, and, in 2017, Long Beach CERT was recognized as the 2017 FEMA Individual Community Preparedness Award winner for our efforts in Red Long Beach. Yeah, very, very, very proud of my team. But you know what we did with this? And this is one thing that I'm going to kind of leave you with. Because this was something that we kind of had to think a little bit, I hate to say outside of the box, but it was very different. We created a one-day event called Ready Long Beach. And I want to invite every one of you to come down and see what this event does, what it looks like in our community. But Ready Long Beach won this award, but get this. Ready Long Beach, we ran it through our nonprofit, our Friends of Long Beach Firefighters, and we make over $30,000 every year to support our CERT program through that one-day event. Why? Because of partnerships. Because of going out and talking to the community, talking to neighborhood groups, right? We'll get businesses that say, can you come and do this preparedness talk to us? I'll be happy to talk to you about it, but we want you to be a partner at Ready Long Beach. And we generate those sponsorships to help drive our program, to see the success in our program. And Ready Long Beach has become extremely successful, and as a matter of fact, has become the largest preparedness event in Los Angeles County. Right? I don't say these things to brag about my program, but I say these things to talk about what you can do in your communities. Because it's about igniting the passion. And every one of my team members is passionate about preparedness. They're passionate about CERT, and they're passionate about their communities, just like every one of you. Together we are stronger. It's like that bundle of arrows in my community, right? My tribal community. That one arrow breaks. But that bundle of arrows is strong and unbreakable. And together in CERT in California and nationally with the National CERT Association, that bundle of arrows is unbreakable because of you. Let's go out, let's make this happen. Let's make CERT resound around the world. Because we're doing it right now. We're in multiple countries, and we're seeing that passion right now ignite. But it's up to us to continue that passion, move forward, and make this a hashtag CERT for all. Thank you, everyone.